Hi, my name is Rohith Varughese,
And I'm Renjith Cherian.
and we're doing our research critique video for our signature assignment in epidemiology. Our our topic is burnout and alcohol abuse and dependence among U.S. medical students.
And
Go ahead.
the purpose of this study is to explore the relationship between alcohol abuse or dependence with burnout and other forms of distress among a national cohort of medical students.
Okay. And the reason this is such a problem is because excessive alcohol consumption in the United States has just always been a problem. It takes about claims about almost 88,000 lives every year, and it cost the U.S. about over $200 billion just within the last year itself, just on the U.S. economy. So this is definitely alcohol itself is the issue, and then obviously if there's anything harming or any way that can interfere with a medical student or their practice, then that'll definitely also be detrimental. So the second question that we had was specify any possible connection between the exposure and the disease. Well, often that we learn from our nursing career and just in healthcare field in general, and we saw this also a lot in mental health. There's always a connection because people always turn to substances or alcohol in order to relieve themselves from stress or depression or just any type of anxiety.
And you do it often enough and it becomes a habit, and then it's hard to break. You constantly go to that, and stress can be caused by using these substances. And so it's just an add-on effect. You just keep going to it, keep going to it, keep going to it.
So the next question that we had to discuss was what is the hypothesis or hypotheses under this investigation? It states in the article that no previous study, to our knowledge, has been explored between the relationship of alcohol abuse or dependence between distress of medical students. So that's something they definitely wanted to address. And the second one was, do they point to any future or further studies? Actually, most definitely. If there's already a problem with the alcohol dependence, between medical students, we don't know what else could be. Any type of substance abuse between any type of any type of doctor, any type of healthcare worker. This can even go on to say for any other thing, for engineering or truck driving, amphetamine use between truck driving, stimulant use for late night shifts. This can go into any facet of work field environment or any other portion of healthcare that we can think of.
The next question that we were supposed to answer was, what were the major techniques used in the study? And this was actually a national survey of medical students done by the American Medical Association's Physician Master File. And it contained validated items assessing alcohol dependence or abuse, burnout, depression, suicidality, quality of life, and fatigue. And then descriptive and comparative statistical analyses were computed, including chi-square and multivariate logistic regression, to determine relationships between these variables. The next question is, what were the major results of this study? And of the 12,500 students, 4,402 responded, and of these, 1,411 met diagnostic criteria for alcohol abuse or dependence.
The study also showed that students who were burned out, depressed, or reported a low mental or emotional quality of life were more likely to, have alcohol or substance abuse of some kind. The conclusion of the study was alcohol abuse and dependence remained independently associated with the factor of being burned out. But other factors are associated with alcohol abuse included being single, being younger than the average resident, and having an educational debt more than $50,000. So those all of that contributed.
So according to the study, there is a relationship between stress and alcohol abuse. And so if there is a relationship between alcohol abuse and stress, for future studies, there could be a relationship between workplace stress and drug abuse. There's a correlation between alcohol abuse and stress. And if there's a relationship between alcohol abuse and stress, then for further studies, there could be a relationship between stress and substance abuse in the workplace or recreationally.
So the reason this article particularly interested us because a couple of months ago there was a viral video reported about a young medical student in Florida who attacked her Uber driver. She was under the influence. It went viral and actually had a lot of repercussions for her. and she actually did a Newsday interview like where she talked about it, and then
Yeah, in that interview, she mentioned that, um, you know, this incident affected her work life, her family life, um, how her friends viewed her. She was placed on administrative leave from work. And, people brought up this incident all the time, and it ruined her reputation. And so, if that happened to a medical student, imagine the consequences that it could have for, others across the nation. It's not just affecting one person; they're all under the same stress.
so fortunately, this incident didn't happen anywhere near a medical site or facility, but this does lead to questions of like what was to happen if this did happen on like a hospital or something, or not just alcohol. What if this is like a substance abuse, opioid abuse, cocaine abuse, stimulants, like anything that could happen that like during healthcare practice, during surgical thing, during radiological interventions, like this actually points to a lot of questions of what could happen later.
So overall, this article was actually really easy to read. The statistics were depicted very well with the graphs. The Venn diagram was very good as it showed the differences and similarities between the different factors of alcohol abuse.
Yeah, and that was actually one of the reasons we chose the article because it was so legible and easy to read. Just from the graphic itself, it like clearly states and differentiates all the demographics, everything from male to female, to the national debt, to the years that even the years that they were in school. They were all able to correlate that and find out like exactly how much did being burnt out in medical school and being stressed and having anxiety in medical school actually directly was or to say actually had the same instances of having alcohol abuse within their lives. The best thing to take away from this, in my opinion, as far as like going for like the public health matters, is that I mean this is not just medical students. This is also nursing students, and in our nursing practice, like once we become RNs, like we're gonna have to find ways to like like we're gonna burn out so quickly. We're gonna have so much anxiety. We're gonna have so much things to deal with, and we as healthcare professionals all together, we need to figure out a way instead of going through substance abuse and using outlets such as like alcohol, drugs, anything like that, anything that's like unhealthy for our body, like food. Is that if there's any other healthier ways just to get through our practice and in order to cope with our stress, like I feel like that's probably the best takeaway from this as far as like what we can do and our contribution to public health.
Yep. But always remember, too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. You don't want to overdo whatever you're doing. Mix it up. Thank you for giving us this assignment, because without it, we would never have looked up a journal like this or gone into.
I agree. We have so much gratitude for you keeping up with our discussions every week and giving us feedback and just like helping us understand the course as much as we could. And as far as like difficulty for like online goes, like I know it's very hard for us to learn, but I feel like you've made it a very like a valuable experience for all of us.
And we could facilitate our thoughts into discussion posts and respond to other people's posts and encourage thinking and responses
and openly as possible. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Okay.
See different perspectives from other people's points of view. Thank you.
Thanks.